After decades of struggling to get my mixes to translate, and finding that there was just nothing on the market to address the problem, being both a music producer and a software developer, I decided it was time to build a plugin to finally solve it. Back in 2019, I was working on a track called All We Need, but testing the mix translation across phones, laptops and sound systems was just sucking the joy out of the music production process. I remember scouring the forums to see if there was any software that could help me check my mixes across the various different devices that listeners would typically use, but I just found nothing. The frustration was insane. I remember spending one Saturday trialing different versions of the mix and then just noticing that things were out of balance. It was proper frustrating, especially when I was so close to finally finishing the track and my patience was really running thin. I've been using an A and B technique to compare my mix against other commercial tracks, recording the output to a rough DJ set to check that my mix sounded as good as the competition. I didn't have an easy way to check my mix on my phone other than uploading a minute snippet to Google Drive and then downloading it to my phone to audition the mix. I'd have to do this for every little tweak, and as we all know, small changes can massively affect the balance of the mix. This isn't great if you're a bit of a perfectionist or worse, a procrastinator. So instead of using this inefficient strategy, I've developed a plugin to make the process seamless. Let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so this is Hexcast. It's a VST plugin that allows you to stream your master bus directly from your digital audio workstation right through to your phone, laptop, tablet, or even your TV. Anything that's armed with a browser can actually use Hexcast. It's composed of two parts, essentially. This is the plugin, and then there's the client web application. So I'm just going to show you a diagram. This diagram is taken from the Hexcast user manual and will help explain how Hexcast fits into your current monitoring chain. So if we start from the top, Hexcast is an insert effect that should be placed as the last item on your master bus. Essentially, it captures the audio signal and converts it into a data stream, firing it over your local area network to be received by the device. Each device runs the self-contained client web application in the browser. And by the way, the client web application is just a fancy name for the website hosted by the Hexcast plugin. What's great about this solution is you don't have to install any apps on any of the devices. The client web application operates like any other website that you'd have access to via your browser. To access it, you simply fire up the camera on your phone and then scan the QR code and follow the web address that pops up. Alternatively, you can type in the URL and that's got your DAW's IP address within it. This is visible on the Hexcast UI. So you type that into your address bar on the device, because some devices don't have a camera application. I tend to actually bookmark the link. Anyway, let's get back to having a look at the Hexcast UI. Right, let's have a look at the client web application. You can access that via these URLs on the UI. I've kept the UI really simple. It's mainly presentational. There are very, very few controls. So if I click this link here, so there you can actually see the client web application, and this is served directly from Hexcast, which is fantastic. So as you can see, here is the IP address, which corresponds to the IP address here. What I'm going to do is, I'll hit stream, and you'll see that the client device appears in Mex's hand. I'll call this character Mex. And if I click the icon, you can see the device information reflecting the browser. So if I hit stop, so like here, I've got a beat that I've made earlier. So let's have a look at this beat. So I've just got some simple drums. It's a drum and bass break. And what I'll do is I'll play it. You probably can't hear that because it's actually coming through Hexcast. So if I hit, so now that's playing through the studio. So let's bring that up and bring the browser up. Okay, so now it's playing through the studio. You can see this audio activity meter here. And if I hit stream, it now plays through the browser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you it using my phone. So I'm going to hit stop. Right. So I'm just going to use my phone now. Just 1 second. So I'm going to hit the QR code link. And then I'm going to hit the URL. And you can see here, this is the Hexcast web interface for the client device. So I'm just going to hit stream now. And you can see there that my device has actually appeared, you know, within the carousel. So if I hit play, I don't know if you can hear that very well, but it's actually playing through my phone. How cool is that? That's awesome. So you can see how you can, you know, like check your mixes, you know, whilst you're actually making music. So like if I was to solo the snares now, you can hear the main snare and the ghost snare. And you can hear the hats. So you can basically find the sweet spot amongst, you know, like whilst you're actually mixing. So that's super duper fantastic. And then if I hit stop, now we go back to the main audio, well, the main studio. So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to show you how I've got my development laptop here. And I'm going to connect with my development laptop so you can see that you can actually use Hexcast with other machines that you've got lying around. So I'm just going to connect here. So this is my old development laptop. So just going to proceed the privacy warning. If I hit stream, don't know if you can hear that, but now Hexcast is now streaming the audio from my digital audio workstation right through to my laptop. And then if I hit stream on my phone, now it's playing through my phone. So you can see how powerful this tool is. Okay, what I want to do now is talk through some of the options and controls that are available within Hexcast. Okay, so here you can see the LCD panel. Here are the QR codes that correspond to this web address. Essentially, you can see that there's two links here. There's HTTP and HTTPS. Hexcast supports two protocols, HTTP and HTTPS. The HTTPS one is the preferable option. I tend to use that one because it allows the client web application to run within a secure context. What that means is the client web application has access to the low latency APIs within the browser. So it just makes for a better streaming experience. The reason why I've kept this link, the HTTP link, or why I've made it available, is for backward compatibility. Some devices do not support like the more modern, up-to-date APIs. So where you have trouble essentially streaming using the HTTPS link, then use the HTTP link. Cool. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do now is look at some of the settings. You can see here that you're able to configure the ports for these links. Most people won't need to actually use these or actually configure these because most people will be happy with the defaults. However, if on your system you'd like to alter them, this is the place to do it. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this option. I'm going to lightly touch on this option. So this allows Hexcast to actually stream using a compression algorithm, a very high quality compression algorithm. It results in saving about 60% bandwidth, which is fantastic. However, you can experiment with this option. I can't really tell the difference in terms of audio quality, but if you have a fast connection, you have a fast device, client device, you know, the mobile phone, tablet, laptop, or what have you, then you can experiment with switching this off, but it will use more bandwidth. What I'm going to do now is we're going to talk about some of the controls that are available within the client web application. So I'll start from the top. This is the audio activity meter, or audio activity indicator, should I say. And this lets you know that audio is passing through Hexcast from the plugin and being broadcast to the client web application within the browser. So what I'm going to do now is just hit stream. So you'll see that it'll pop up. And I'm just going to play some chords. You probably can't hear that because it's actually coming through the browser. But if I hit stop, it's coming back through the studio. Okay, so this is the client status. And this essentially reflects the status of the client web application. So what this is saying now is that the client web application is running at 44.1 kilohertz. So Hexcast negotiates with the actual core plugin, and the client web application lets Hexcast know what sample rate it should adjust the stream for. So that's really cool because you could have multiple devices all with different sample rates. So you'll want obviously a consistent sound and consistent pitch across all the different devices. Okay, moving on. So this is the volume control. What's cool about this is it persists. So like if I adjust the volume, if I was to open up a new tab, you can see there it's retained the volume setting. This is super useful because once you've configured like the devices that are around you whilst you are trying to check your mix through using Hexcast and through the client devices, you'll want to essentially set and forget, you know, those levels. Okay, I'm going to move on now. So if I hit stream, you can see that there's this sync button. And what this does is it allows Hexcast client web application to catch up with the DAW. Sometimes like on slower devices, older devices, you may find that the web application falls out of sync with the DAW. So by hitting sync, that forces the buffers within the web application to clear, and then it brings the audio in line with what's playing on the DAW. Okay, I've supplied this other option here, and this is to increase the buffer size. So Hexcast by default attempts to establish the correct buffer size or the best buffer size for streaming, but what I've done here is I've given you control, so you can actually increase the buffer size. It does actually introduce more latency. You do get better compression, you know, as in like data compression. So it's suitable for like older devices which are potentially having trouble streaming. So you can actually go right up to 32 times the block size. So here, you know, here it's registering as 32,000 samples. So yeah, and that brings me on to this about panel. So this provides or displays the device information. So this is available for each of the clients that are connected. You can see here, this is the client ID, and this corresponds to the client ID that's present within the Hexcast UI. So it's useful for if you've got multiple laptops connected, then you'll be able to identify which one it is displayed in the UI. But I tend to just hit the stream button and you'll see which one is active by this illumination. So that's essentially it. So that's Hexcast in a nutshell. So no more Saturday struggles. Integrating Hexcast into my mix and mastering workflow has not only made the process more efficient, but I found that my mixes just translate across multiple different devices without all the frustrations that I used to have. So there's a free 14-day demo available at hexmarkrecords.com. I'll link it in the description below. And if you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a like. And if you want to be kept up to date with new music and production tips, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.